Conscious Observer here. Finally, I'm back with another video after a while. So let's get straight into it. Okay. This video is going to be me going over the details of my recent reading for the late Darren Sills. He was an activist that was instrumental in the early stages of Black Lives Matter during the Ferguson riots that took place um, after the untimely death of the young man by the name Mike Brown. He was very instrumental in that process. He was, on, at ground zero, if you will, of the protest. He was very instrumental in bringing attention with his prolific picture that was seen around the world of him taking, I think it was a canister of tear gas and throwing it back at the police. um, he wasn't just, instrumental just for that iconic picture, but because he was actually on the ground with the people, um, of his city, being a Missouri native. I don't know if he was originally born in Ferguson, but that was his city. And when he experienced the same injustice that was felt by so many other black people in the United States, he decided to, stand up and fight against it. And so he was, a very profound activist, during the time that he was active before his untimely murder. So, what's sparked this reading to come about was me watching, I think, the second to last video that MeTX did, where she got really, really passionate. It was a great video where she was giving commentary on the viral statement of Tremere Rice's mother, Samir Rice, when she, went viral, calling out the propped up leaders of Black Lives Matter. Um, my grandma always said, a hit dog will holler. And I don't think she called out anybody in particular. She just called out the fact that Black Lives Matter is a money making machine, geared to, reeking in the monetary benefits of the, unfortunate, you know, deaths that occur via police brutality, and how she, referring to Samira Rice, paid the ultimate price due to her actually losing someone so, dear and near to her, her own child, Samira Rice, and how, some of these so-called leaders and the organization of Black Lives Matter have used her son's name and the names of countless other black people who have lost their lives due to police brutality in this country as a means to monetize off of. Um, so while listening to Michi X's video, I I felt Darren Sills come through to me. Um, I'll never forget when he first was murdered in 2016. Um, I definitely um, I felt sad. I felt, um, just this really, just sad, um, feeling of just losing someone that was really trying to do something great for his people and stood by what he believed in. Didn't just, tweet about it, make a post on Instagram about it. He actually got up and active and in the streets and, protest, and really did things on a ground, zero level, grassroots level for change. And when I found out, that he was murdered, it really hit hard because, the good die young, unfortunately. In this world, it's the good, who end up leaving this earth faster than the ones who are evil to the core. So yeah, without a further ado, I'm gonna get into everything that I channeled when he came through to me. Okay, so this was on the 24th, so I'm a little late, but I definitely want to get this out. Okay, now when I channel and I get these messages, sometimes I end up scribbling because words are coming through so fast. I have to, quickly jot them down. So I'm going to be turning through the pages of my notebook. That's what you are going to hear. And if I stumble on words, it's because some things may come to some words that are sentences that might be a little incoherent, but I am going to do my best to relay everything that he said to me. Okay. Darren still said that they killed me because I was getting too close to the truth about Black Lives Matter and how it is against the Black family and Black people as a whole. They couldn't control me. They couldn't buy me. Because I asked him who is they, and he said they, meaning the police. He said the police watched me day and night and tried to kill me once before they actually ended up killing me. So he let it be known that there were attempts on his life prior to them actually, taking his life. That's crazy. I just couldn't imagine, protesting and, fighting for my people. And, even though I can't imagine it, and when I say that, I'm saying that in the sense of the fear, that comes with. I know how this system works. We all know how this system gets down. Anytime Black people try to stand up for, progress, and stand up for what's right and stand against injustices, that makes you a target. So, in continuing, he said they watched his family. They watched his comings and goings. And even had my phone tapped. Okay, he wanted me to put that in quotations. So they definitely were listening. And he said that this reconnaissance, this him being watched, went up as far as the FBI. So the FBI were even watching him and tapping his phone. He said they were using the money raised by Black Lives Matter fraudulently and on nefarious things and for division of the Black community. They wanted me, he said they wanted me dead and out of the way so I could not speak against them. So I'm going to turn the page. They wanted him dead so he couldn't use his platform and position to bring them down from the inside out. okay? Because Darren Sills was, a part of the startup of Black Lives Matter. He was one of the pioneers of the organic movement and protest in Ferguson. Um, Even though I don't think he had anything to do with the actual naming and coining the phrase Black Lives Matter or starting the organization, but before he found out and seen the corruption and what they were gearing, what we know now as Black Lives Matter, to be the money making, organization, of that makes money off of black police brutality and black death. He was at the root of it from a organic position where he really thought that it was going to be an organization geared for change for his people. He didn't know the nefarious things that they really and truly were planning down the line. Um, and when he found that out, that made him a threat because um, he knew the very, people who were instrumental in starting Black Lives Matter. So if he would have blew the, got the chance to blow the whistle and got the chance to tell the dirt that he knew on these people, it would have really been damaging for the startup of Black Lives Matter, and it probably would have never ended up being what it is today, a nefarious organization under the guise of black improvement, black, liberation. Now it's a figurehead. Now it's a, program, organization that, sucks all this money up whenever a black person, unjustifiably, dies at the hands of police. It's an organization that comes in and all people have to do, all businesses and corporations have to do is just, throw money at Black Lives Matter and say, I donated to Black Lives Matter, but no real change happens, and none of the monies really go to the very people and communities that are devastated by police brutality, the constant, fear of police victimization, and, yeah. So I don't want to get too far off. But let me get back to what he was saying. So, they didn't want, him to speak on what he knew about Black Lives Matter and the start, and the people involved, in the start of Black Lives Matter because of his position and his platform. He was well, respected by many people in, and especially in Ferguson. So, yeah. Let's see. He said, I was there from the beginning, from the start of Black Lives Matter in Ferguson. He said they plotted. He said they plotted on him. And when he said they, he gave me the, like the vision of, you know, police cars, driving past his house, following behind him when he'll be driving. I get like this really, really like, this really, really vivid image of, like looking through the rearview mirror and seeing headlights, or seeing police cars, and like seeing like, a police vehicle speed up behind me, get really, really close, almost to tapping my bumper, and then at the last minute swerving off and then driving off, or, they'll get really, really close, to the vehicle to intimidate you, and then without, tapping your vehicle, they'll, get on the side of you and they'll look at you like real menacing. Or, he also showed me where he would, come out his house and he'll see, a black all black unmarked, car that obviously looks like undercover cops, FBI agents, whatever the hell, just y'all done seen movies and shit where, police, FBI agents and whatever are doing like stakeouts on people's homes that they watching, and they'll be in those unmarked, Crown Vics or whatever you want to call them type cars, and you'll see two agents or two, police officers just sitting there watching, the person of interest, right? That is what he showed me, that not only would they be outside his home, they'll be outside his friend's home, they'll be outside his, his mama house, wherever he would be for the night, he would see them, look outside the window. I see him looking through blinds and like seeing, unmarked cars or police cars, like across the fucking road, with people sitting in there, watching them, so it's just, wow. Okay, so they watched him. He said they hunted me down. Okay, they hunted me down. They knew where I was going to be on the night they shot me up. They shot me twice in the back of my head to make sure I was dead, and then they burned my body up in my car to cover it up. Man, I'm sorry, y'all. I hate to pause and have just dead air on a recording, but when he told me that, I didn't want to see it. I didn't want to see it. Damn. Like when he told me that, and just when he came through so strong. I had to. I was sitting at my living room table, eating me some dinner, and I keep my notebooks and stuff underneath my coffee table. And I haven't did a reading in a while. Kind of just haven't really been in the mood to do it, because I'm not sure if this is what I want to do, with with my life. Well, when I say that, it's like, people are so judgmental on the internet. People are so cruel, and it's like anytime someone has a gift, that is alternative or different, you're ridiculed for it. A lot of people are born this way. Some people have a gift of communicating with the other side and they don't even know it. And some people do know it and they're afraid to, put themselves out there because people are going to call them evil. People are going to call them wicked. People are going to call them all kind of things. But, hey, it is what it is. I didn't ask for Darren Sills to communicate with me. I didn't ask for him to come through to me. I didn't ask for this. And, well, in a way I did ask for, I guess, being able to communicate in a better way with my ancestors and communicate with spirit, for guidance throughout my life, but I was born with a gift to do this, and I'll get into that when I feel like the time is right, I'll get into, some of the things, paranormal things that I experienced in my early life, in my early teens and stuff like that. But I just, I understand, now how a lot of, mediums, and, psychics. By no way am I a psychic. If I was a psychic, I wouldn't be on here because I'll be spending millions right now, okay? Like, me and my family will be straight, we'll be set up, I had a lottery numbers, and it'll be a wrap. You feel me? Like, I sure as hell would be on here talking shit, right now. But, nah, like, this is different. This is this is what it's called, mediumship. This is being, channeling is, picking up on the, like messages from spirit. And Darren Sills, came through. And I think he came through, because he's ready to talk now. He's been ready to talk now. What they did to him in Ferguson was fucked up. The way that they took this man's life was despicable. It was fucked up. And I hate when, those of us that are actually out there on the street, out there in the community, out there really and truly, putting our passion and our love for our people on the front line, and they're taken out. Like, that shit pisses me off. Because the derelicts are left. The dregs of our community are left. Like the fucking Tariq Nasheeds. The bitch ass Tariq, Nasheeds of the fucking world are left. The Tommy fucking sodomizers. The bitch ass niggas like that, they're left. Meanwhile, Darren Sills, is in a fucking casket. He had so much life left to live. He had so many other things that, he still had yet to do. But yet, he's gone. And the fucking, sneaky, conniving, fraudulent ass motherfuckers are left here. Like like the fake male, Rachel Dolezal, Sean King, his bitch ass, his pasty fucking, white ass. He's left here to fucking still be followed and supported by black people, even though he's clearly a fucking white man who is infiltrating, the community and gaining resources and monies, like fucking leeching resources and money off of us. And our hurt and our pain and our death. But yet he's allowed to be here. He's still fucking here. And the Tamika Mallory's of the world. Bitches like that who really ain't fucking in it. They just in it to fucking give, pretty speeches and shit. You know what I'm saying? Invigorating ass speeches, but not no fucking action, no true progress, no true freedom. Like, it's ridiculous. But meanwhile, the Darren Sills of the world, the Malcolm X's of the world, they're in a fucking grave. They're in a cold grave away from their loved ones, their children. They're gone. Okay, I'm sorry. I went on another tangent. I'm gonna bring it back. And I'm gonna finish this as best I could, and as quickly as I could. Okay, alright, so he showed me them hunting him down, and if I'm not mistaken, there was a video that was done probably a week or two prior to his death, and or probably shorter than that, a few days before his death, where I don't know if it's still on YouTube, but he was either going to the mall or he was passing through the mall parking lot in Ferguson, and he was harassed by the police. I believe like two or three, maybe 4 or 5 cop cars stopped him, demanded that him and his, I think he was riding with a friend or his child at the time. They made him get out the car. Uh, they just really was harassing this man, all because he answered the call of his people, and he stood against, the injustice of his people. Um, but he showed me that someone called him. Someone, told him to meet him somewhere. Excuse me. Someone told Darren Sills to meet them somewhere. Um, I don't know why, but I'm kind of picking up on a female. But he was told to meet someone in a certain location. And I feel like it was somebody he trusted. That told him that they wanted to meet up. And because he was already being watched, they knew where he was gonna be. And so when he went to, that location, and his attention was, on his phone, or he was looking, I just see him in his car looking down or doing something, and someone came up behind and shot him, um, and shot him multiple times. Um, that's all I can say is rest in peace, King. That's all I can say, man. But let me finish what he said. So they burned his body and car up to cover up the evidence and the crime. Um, and then he started to talk about that he misses children. He misses his little girl in particular. I don't know if he had a little girl. He said my baby girl. I don't know if he had a little girl right before he passed, but he misses his children dearly. Especially the little girl that he had. Um, he goes on to say that they used Ferguson, Missouri, as a starting ground uh, for the coming race war. So he speaks of a coming race war, where, blacks, whites, and all other races are fighting against each other, he says. Um, he said they want a race war to break out on the streets of the U.S. He said all control opposition. He said they, talking about the police, racism, white supremacy, the system, whatever, the government, whatever you want to call it, that controls us as a people, that controls the narrative. He says they control Black Lives Matter. Conscious observer here. I am back to um, complete Darren Sills' reading. This is part 2. Um, I didn't realize that the headsets that I had on were not giving me the quality of recording that I wanted. So I apologize for the sound quality. If it sounded like I was like really really close to the mic, I apologize. So hopefully, now that I don't have those headsets on, I will sound better. I'm gonna try to talk as loud as I can. If you guys hear cars, passing in the background, I live near a highway, so yeah. So, um, Darren Sills talked about there being a coming race war, and He talked about how the powers that shouldn't be, he refers to them as they quite frequently. But the idea that he gives me when he talks about they is, the FBI, the police, whatever like that. Those are the, the organizations or the, government, that's the they he's talking about, okay? Whoever it is that, whatever faction within the government that is hell bent on destroying this country and bringing, us to a civil war, okay? He talked about how Black Lives Matter is has been infiltrated and taken over by white handlers. That it was, funded by, white people in order to, you know, be like, pretty much white, like a white institution in blackface. Okay. And it's so crazy. I'm gonna insert a picture of a tweet that he made literally 15 days before he was murdered. That pretty much says exactly what he just, what he told me in this, when he, came through to me. Okay, so in continuation, he also says that the KKK is control opposition as well. And he showed me like a puppet master with a black glove, a white glove, and how it's controlled by the same people, to, cause chaos and division in this country, in between people. They want to cause race riots, and a race war in the street, and all of those who can't be controlled or who refuse to be used by the powers that shouldn't be, those who refuse to sell their souls, they have to be silenced, or they are shadow banned, hidden, don't get the notoriety and the platform that they need in order for their voice to be amplified and heard, such as Samir Rice, the mom of Tremere Rice. So, that's what they do. The loudest voices that you hear, the Sean Kings and the Tamika Mallory's, you see them because they are puppets. They sold their soul, they agreed to sell. In the case of Tamika, she agreed to sell her people out. Sean King is just a fucking white, imposter who, lied about being black just so he can have, a connection and gripe in a window and avenue into making money off of black people. So yeah, so pretty much anybody who can't be controlled, anybody who's not willing to sell their soul and who's not willing to be used as a pawn, are killed, are silenced, are hidden. And in his case, unfortunately, Darren Stills was murdered. He brought up Benjamin Crump. Okay. He said Benjamin Crump ain't shit. Those were his exact words, okay, y'all? Like, I'm not kidding. Like, that's what I heard really, really loud. Like, Benjamin Crump ain't shit. He's very corrupt, and he is a sellout. He's the new Reverend Sharpton. The new Reverend L. Sharpton. He is sent out to hush the families of police brutality murder victims, to find out what the families know, control what comes out, like the evidence, whatever is involving whatever involves the crime, he tries to keep the truth about the details coming out. He's a paid shield. Okay, he's a puppet. He's paid by his puppet masters to go into these families, and to basically, like lullaby them to sleep. Um, it's no coincidence that Benjamin Crump, has been involved in several high profile police brutality cases. And yes, those families end up receiving a large lump sum of money, but he get his palms get greased too. He get a sack, he get a bag too, right? Um, so he makes sure that he keeps the families calm, not out protesting, and definitely not saying anything against the system or anything that goes against the narrative uh, that they want to, be put on the news or to be put out about um, the crime, itself. You never notice where Benjamin Crump is concerned, and and involving the cases that he is involved in, you never notice true justice. There's never any uh, charges that are levied that actually stick and end up in a conviction when Benjamin Crump goes and counsels either of these families. And one incident that really, really sticks out to me is the incident with Kendrick Johnson's family. Um, when he went to Valdosta, Georgia, where Kendrick Johnson, the the black teen that was found wrapped in a gym mat at the Lowndes County School in Valdosta, Georgia, in 2013, he went to Valdosta, Georgia, to counsel and be the secondary lawyer for the Johnson family. And it wasn't long that he was actually there once he realized that there was no money to be gained because the cover up of Kendrick Johnson's murder was so high. It stunk so high to the high heavens that there wasn't going to be a resolution that easy. It wasn't going to be a case solved and a case closed that ends in a conviction because of the cover up and the intricate things that were going on in that small town between the people who covered the murder of Kendra Johnson up and between his killers and who were their, who the father of the killers of Kendra Johnson was. Um, I definitely did a reading on Kendra Johnson's birthday of last year, 2020. I don't know if I'm gonna release it. If I feel led to come on here and release it, I will. But that would definitely be if I feel led. Okay, so let's kind of bring it back to the task at hand, and that's Darren Sill basically saying that Benjamin Crump he ain't shit. That's Darren Sill's exact words, and that he is a Uncle Tom. He is a sellout, and he is um, basically a handler. He's sent in to um, you know quash any dissent, any upheaval that can come about from the families of the victims of police brutality, and to keep them in line and keep them in check. Y'all already know what it is. So Darren still goes on to say, I knew in the pit of my stomach and my soul that they were after me, that they wanted to kill me. I turned around, I turned my life around, and I stopped gangbanging, I stopped selling drugs, and I answered the call of the streets, a different call, the call to stand up and fight for my people. I felt the call in my spirit to stand up for my people and stand up for what was right. It was so fucked up what they did to Mike Brown and how that cop murdered him in cold blood. It was already too much when they did what they did to Trayvon Martin. But when that shit came to my city, I was like, fuck that. I've got to get out there and do something about this shit. And that's what he did. He got, into the, he got into it. Like he stood up. He went out there and he started to march and protest, That's me turning a page. He said, we as black people are facing it. We're facing a enemy, the system of racism, white supremacy, and that we all as black people need to come together and unite and fight against it. And he wanted to close with this. He said, please let my family know that I love them so very much. I watch over them. I walk with them. I protect them as best as I can. To my children, I love y'all so, so much. Daddy loves y'all so very much. It hurts me to watch y'all grow so big without me. Mama, please be strong. Granny, I love you and I miss you so much. And lastly, he says, to my friends, my boys, hold it down. Stay out them streets. Live legit as possible. Much love, soldiers. My fist raised high. That was his last statement. My fist raised high. So, after I wrote that last thing, I kind of, heard it, it kind of got quiet after that. So I figured he was done. If there's anything else, that he needs and wants to say, he is always welcome, to do so. He has a very light, and, warmth about him, about his spirit. So, I definitely, didn't have a problem jotting down any thing that he had to say. Always remember, y'all, that even though your loved ones are, may have physically passed away, spiritually, they're always with you. Your ancestors are the ones who, guide you, who watch over you, who protect you. And even though you might not have relation to, a person, that doesn't mean that, they don't need prayers or, good and healing energy to be sent to them and their family. If you, in a situation like this, where you have, a young man who at the age of 29 answered a call from his, that he felt in his soul, the call to stand up against injustice, to stand up for his people, to fight for justice, to fight for what he believed in, and that was, that his people, needed to unite and come together because we're facing oppression in this country. We have faced oppression for years. And even though we're not physically still in shackles and on plantations, we're in shackles and we're in slavery and we're in servitude in a totally different way. And this way is more sinister because we can't see the chains on our ankles and our wrists. We can't see, the bars, that are around our mind, but it's very, real. It's present and it's there. So yeah, just don't forget to pay homage to those who have given their lives for us. Um, and the fight isn't over, for our people and for us to really and truly be liberated in this country as a people. So, with that, much love to Darren Sills. Um, Even though you are physically gone, you are very much alive in spirit. I send love and healing to you, King. And it's not very many men that I reference as kings, especially black men. That's a whole nother topic. But, a black man who stood up for his people and, subsequently he lost his life, uh, for standing up for his people. That's a king in my book and in my eyes. So definitely love and healing energy to you, King. Love and healing energy to your family. And, with that, y'all, conscious signing out. Until next time, peace.